Peace, family. We're going to jump right into it. Man, a lot of us have been taught all of these different ways to manifest the reality that we want. And, I was somebody that for a long time just could not get it right. I would have these small wins here and there, but it just wasn't able to be consistent. Now, I'm sure many of us have experienced this. You set an intention, you visualize, you do your affirmations, you write it down 999 times, but for some reason, you do everything right, and then nothing happens, right? Or things get worse. And the more that you try, the more that you do, it just seems to slip away, right? Now, the problem isn't that manifestation doesn't work. The problem is that you're more than likely doing the one thing that's holding it back from working. Okay? So we're going to break that down. All right? Now, the first thing that you have to understand is the attachment paradox. Okay? Now, there's a core principle taught in Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. By Vadim Zeland. All right, core principle taught, and it's the principle of excessive importance and excess potential. Okay, so when you assign a certain level of attachment and heightened importance to a specific outcome, what tends to happen is that you create an energetic imbalance in the world, and the universe is forced to then equalize that, right? Or neutralize that, I should say, right? Through equilibrium, right? Now, this is very, very important to understand because growing up in the manifestation universe, like we're taught all of these things like affirmations, visualization, and to do all of these certain things, but sometimes that can lead to increased desire. And increased desire isn't always a beneficial thing in the steps through manifestation, because when your desire increases and your attachment increases, what then tends to happen is that we then start to kind of push what it is that we want away. Okay? One analogy is like gripping water in your hand. Like the harder you squeeze, the less you hold. Okay? Now, this isn't something that we can physically see, right? But it's something that we can feel. Okay? So if you're so attached to the outcome, or you finally, you find yourself just like, oh, if I don't achieve this, then blah, blah, blah. Like if you're that attached to the outcome, you're actually putting yourself in a bad position. And you're ultimately pushing away what it is that you want. Okay? Because when you have what it is that you want, you're not going to be feeling that same level of attachment. And we ultimately attract the frequency that we exude. So if you're constantly attracting a frequency of wanting this thing so bad, then how do you expect to ever get it? Because you're exuding a frequency of lack. Okay? So you have to carry the frequency of abundance, of prosperity, of gratitude, of thankfulness, of all things good and all things positive, no matter what it is, happening in that external reality. And that's a perfect feedback to our next principle here is the feedback trap, right? Now, a lot of times when we don't get what we want, like when we don't get the results that we want in life, it causes negative emotions. Because most people don't know how to manage their mind and manage their thoughts and manage their frequency, even when they don't get what it is that they want. So what tends to happen is that those negative emotions that we have from not getting the desired outcome, now it starts to attract even more negative circumstances. Okay? And this is why you got to be a reactor to life and not a creator of life. You have to be a creator of life and not a reactor to life. Because you can be manifesting something, but it has to go through a gestation period. right? Like when you shift your identity and you start aligning yourself with the version of yourself that you want to become to attract the outcomes that you want, there's a process. It takes time. It's not something that happens immediate. So where most people go wrong is that they start to judge their current results. They start to judge what physical reality is reflecting to them currently. And because it may not be exactly what it is that they want, then it starts to cause sadness. It causes disappointment. It causes doubt. It causes these limiting beliefs. But what, again, is important to understand is that there's a delay in the shift that you make to physical reality reflecting that shift. So although you may not be receiving exactly what you want in physical reality, as long as you continue to hold the frequency and the identity, the mirror of reality should catch up. Okay? But you getting upset about current results holds you back. It holds your manifestations back, right? When you're getting emotional about the things happening now, right? Because now you are just continuing to exude those negative frequencies, right? Now the key is that no matter what physical reality is reflecting to you, you have to continue to hold the frequency, the vibration, and the energy of the desired lifeline, of the desired state. Because as long as you do that, the mirror of reality must catch up because it is universal law. Okay? So the failure loop, this is what most people experience. No results, frustration becomes dominant state, and then reality continues to reflect that frustration. Right? Now the timeline lag is intention, shift in inner state, and then a shift in outer reality. It's not instant. Right? Now what most people confuse is that they treat outer reality as the truth about their inner state, not knowing that outer reality has a delayed method. Right? Outer reality has a delayed method of reflecting back your inner state. Right? Now, the next thing is avoiding pendulums. Okay? Because pendulums are these thoughts, these concepts that take control of your mind when you're not aware. Right? These thought structures. Media, social pressure, collective anxieties, cultures, all of these different things that are feeding off of your attention. Okay? You have to be wary and you have to be aware enough to choose your beliefs. Okay? A lot of us didn't choose our beliefs. You know, these are beliefs that were given to us through situation and circumstance over the course of life. So you have to be aware enough to actually choose your beliefs, right? Because there's many beliefs that you have that may be incongruent with your goals. Okay? But you have to be aware enough to actually slow down and start to analyze, right? Because these pendulums, which are these thought structures, these concepts and ideas that steal your thought energy, they're always seeking your attention and energy. So you have to be able to direct and be intentional with your thought energy. Okay? And be aware enough to choose the direction of your thoughts and choose where you're placing that energy. Right? Now, another modern example of this is doom scrolling. Doom scrolling, comparison culture, the anxiety of watching others succeed. But I would say mostly doom scrolling. That is a pendulum, right? It's a pendulum that is continuously seeking your energy and attention. And by the time you know it, you've just been scrolling for the last 30 minutes to an hour. Okay? The untrained mind treats every thought as a message from the self. The disciplined mind knows that most thoughts are just noise from the environment and refuses to act on them. You are not responsible for every thought that enters your mind. You are responsible for which ones you give a chair. Okay? Now, our last thing that we want to speak on here is the control versus alignment concept. All right. Control means that you are trying to reshape outer reality. Alignment means that you are reshaping outer reality by the shift internally. Right? And a lot of times people try to shift reality through control. Not understanding the biggest and most control we have is first by shifting our identity and who we are internally, how we think, our beliefs, our habits, our behaviors, and that's ultimately how we shift outer reality. Everything starts internally. Your external reality is just a reflection of your internal reality. So if you can master your internal reality, you therefore master your outer reality. Okay? So these are things that may be holding you back from manifesting successfully. One is you are too attached to the outcome. You put so much pressure on this one outcome, right? And what you unknowingly are doing is you're causing the universe to implement balanced forces to reach back a state of equilibrium. Okay? And that process may include you not achieving the goal, right? So fall in love with who you are becoming and not the outcome. Fall in love with who you become and not the outcome, right? The feedback loop, don't get too caught up on physical reality. It's a game. This is a simulation. So the universe is always testing you to make sure that you are who you say you are and that you truly believe what you say that you believe and you show up as who you say you are. Right? The game is going to test you. Stay 10 toes down. It's not on you, it's in you. Okay? So you almost have to have a delusional confidence when it comes to responding to physical reality. Okay? Now, the next thing that we spoke on is the pendulums, right? Staying aware throughout the day, y'all. Stop falling asleep, daydreaming, doom scrolling. Stay aware and be intentional with your thoughts. Be intentional with what you want to focus your energy on. Right? And it all starts with awareness. Right? And always seek to be in alignment internally versus trying to control externally. The control externally comes from the control internally. Master yourself and you master the world. Right? Peace and love, everybody. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you're somebody that loves personal development, law of attraction, reality creation, all things in between, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and tap back in, all right? Love, everybody. Until the next one.